That's fine. You can scroll down to the first page if that's okay.
That one?
That's the one. Yeah, so basically this is just letting you know who we are, what we do and how we help people, and obviously with a view to you guys hopefully chatting about us and Fortuna FX and why we're that little bit different to the ones that are out there at the moment. So basically, as you would expect, we, from a professional brokerage, we help. I'm going to be looking to my right slightly every now and again while I'm reading my notes. We help make fast and secure currency payments internationally, but we're not your average broker. And by that, I mean, notoriously, the brokerage world is very male-led, very aggressive, very greedy industry, and we're just not like that at all. So we set ourselves up to make some long overdue changes, make some subtle ripples where we can, and set up on our own and called ourselves Fortuna FX, and we are proud to say we're an all-female team. So they're notorious brokers for going for that big trade, maximising profit, and we actually flip that on the head, and we are very important. Customer relationship is important to us, and keeping our clients for the long term. We basically are there to guide people through. We're straightforward, and we prioritise that relationship over profit, basically. We want our clients to understand the market and improve their performance over the long term, for be it individual or for their companies. So next page, please. Lovely. So we help individuals and businesses alike, and basically who do we work with? I suppose for us, the obvious ones are importers and exporters, companies that are moving to the UK, private individuals, whether they be buying or selling properties abroad, and anyone doing interbank transfers. And by that I mean a lot of companies have a dollar account, a euro account and a sterling account, and they might receive that money from different currencies and internally move their own money around and feel they have no need for someone like myself. And every time they move that money around, their bank is charging them between £15 and £35 a pop for doing that. They will also only ever get the rate that the bank will offer them that day. So where we're an institutional brokerage, I can shop the market for them and actually get them the best rate possible, as well as moving that money around for absolutely no money whatsoever. It's completely free to use. So our service solutions, basically we're helping businesses grow for a few of our services, really. So currency, obviously the currency exchange, we manage their exposure, we shop around the market for them, and we help them get as much profit and profit margin as possible. Payments, we centralise your payments for greater control. So basically that means if you receive funds from different countries basically into your profit, we centralise that for you, and then we'll move that around for you into the right pots. Mass payment solutions, bulk upload. Basically, if you have offices abroad where you need to pay their wages, you might have 600 staff. So we'll bulk that money, get the maximum profit again, and then we distribute for you to your individual people to, again, it just saves time and increases your profit tenfold. Collection accounts, it's exactly the same in reverse. We collect that money again, and we create the infrastructure to work and watch the market for you to ensure that each currency pair is actually getting the most maximum profit, but we actually collect it all for you and use that infrastructure in place. And then there's the treasury. So the treasury are our products in effect, and what we put in place to do the risk mitigation and what the company needs to make their functionality perfect, I suppose, is the best way to do. So can we, next page, I think it's on that one, please. So currencies, so there you go. So the products we use, the treasury, are explained slightly there. So spot trades is what it says on the tin. You allow us to take advantage of live rates across a number of liquidity providers. So where we are an institutional broker, unlike a retail broker or a tier one bank, we have a tranche of liquidity providers, so we can shop around for you. Tier one banks and retail brokers have one line, access to one price, which then obviously you get on the day what's available. So we can do same settlements on the same day, and we have the faster payment access to enable that to land within that 24 hours. And we can also set a date, excuse my dogs, set the date of 2 weeks' time in the future and take advantage of a short-term spot trade, which then you get preferential rate fluctuations but don't have to send your currency until your chosen date for your spot trade. Forward contracts, basically what that means, and I've got to try and do it in layman's terms again, currency, at the moment, the market is just so volatile. You've got COVID, we're coming out of still no Brexit, and then potentially a second wave is your third problem. We help eliminate that risk of that currency fluctuation by doing forward contracts. So as a part of a forward contract, I can lock in your currency for a set period, ensure that the profits of the company is not affected by any fluctuation within the currency market, and that forward contract is allowing you then to draw down on your funds at any point, knowing full well that you've risk mitigated by keeping a level fixed that you and I have agreed is what you need to hit. That market can hit overnight and it gets watched and monitored, and there's no additional fees for that at all, but we can actually, it's all about risk mitigation. And when we've got such a volatile world at the minute, forward contracts are a godsend and help our clients saving a fortune by making sure they're not going to lose money on their trades. Forward contracts actually can be fixed between 3 months and 18 months ahead. So, and again, with no fees whatsoever, it's completely free to use. Personal transfers, I think, can we just scroll down, Graham, quickly? Sorry, just see what the next page is. Yeah, actually you can stay on that one. So our payment solutions are domestic as well as for companies. So the competitive pricing, no hidden charges, no fees, and fully transparent, can go for a personal trade as well as a company trade. So when people are buying properties abroad, and need to set up regular payments or get paid in a different currency to their home currency. A lot of our clients were pilots who, for example, EasyJet paid in euros. So we then repatriated that money for them back into sterling. So a lot of people find that time consuming, confusing and expensive if they use their banks. And we're just trying to educate people that there are companies like us that can help them do all of that with no cost whatsoever. And with the domestic payments, I think people just assume they can only ever use their bank. That's where the international probate comes into its own. Notoriously, Santander Bank in Spain, if you had a property in Spain that you were selling because you've lost a loved one, that they would use their bank. We had a solicitor put a client in front of us last week, and we got him £7,260 more for the inheritance than he would have done if he'd gone through Santander Bank, because of the charges and the ridiculously low rate he would have got for his money, basically. Scroll down, please. We also provide an online platform. So some people don't want to talk to us. Some people just want to do their own thing and just do it themselves. So we have a complete web-based dealing platform, which allows customers to do their own transfers as if they was doing their interbank transfers. Again, no payment fees. Fully, the rates they get are really competitive again, and transparent, and real-time tracking you'll see there. So, and they can also have a complete history of their trades, so they can look back and see what rates they got, talk to us if they want to. But it just enables everyone to do their own money if they want to be in full control. And that, as you can see there, PC, laptop, mobile, tablet, we've set it all up so they can use it on any device as such. But it's a really great tool to use. Next slide. Security is really, really high on for us. We're obviously dealing with people's money, but I want to point out today there, what we use is what's called segregated accounts. So I physically don't touch anybody's money. It goes into a segregated account that liquidity providers will look after. So we're in effect called a white label. So you have to have multi-million pounds turnover to have your own liquidity lines. So we work in partnership with companies that provide us with that facility to go to the market wholesale. So there's all our security guys. That's who we work with, and we're completely FCI regulated. And for me to say that everything is free and there's no charges, people always say to us, well, how do you earn your living? How do you earn your money? And the best way of describing that for us is if you went to newsagents and you bought packet chewing gum for 20p, he's gone to a wholesaler and bought it for 10p, and he then would earn in between. So in simple terms, I can go and get money wholesale where you guys can't, and then I sell it retail, but with a really good rate and a really good exchange rate. So that is us really in a nutshell, and I've really talked really fast, so I do apologise. Hope that's made a bit more about what we do, but this is how you then become a client. So there's registration, there's compliance checks, which it's all about money laundering. We can't work with someone who's money laundering. It literally has to be secure. And then you then have an ongoing dialogue with one of us, talk to us, have an account manager in place. And once you're open and ready to trade, you can either go onto a platform or you can ring us up and ask us to shift your money around for you. So that's really, really simple, be it even if personal money or business, it's the same process of onboarding. And as you can see, there are no setup costs, no obligation to transact. So you can set up and actually change your mind, it doesn't cost you anything. And we literally swallow every single fee that there would be there within any transaction. So that's Fortuna FX. Thank you for listening. That's just our London address.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I guess you did this in the city then, Lesley, is that right?
Yeah, we did. We did. That's where our history is as such. Yeah, and we just like I say in presentation, we just got a bit fed up with the world that we was working in and the aggression that was there, as in sales type aggression.
Yeah.
And the greed that we just and like I was saying to Mark, coming out into Essex, we've realised there's a market for us with SMEs that we can actually make such a difference to their worlds while earning a decent living in our world, rather than working with massive companies that you just don't even know personally, and you're just in effect lining someone else's pockets just because they're greedy. So yeah.
How long ago did you make the break?
We literally formed, if you look us up on Company's House, in January.
Okay, right.
So we are fledgling. We as a Fortuna are fledgling. And if you look at our little logo, Fortuna FX, you'll see a little pinched bit on the X. And that's to the female form, although you wouldn't know that. That's our little hint that we're all females. And I want equality. It doesn't matter about that, but we are quite unique in what we do and who we are as a female team. Yeah.
Lesley, I would have probably I wish I'd known you a bit sooner. We had a situation a year or two back. One of our older relatives had died, and we were we were working as executors on the will. Our property was worth about £500,000, and half of that was going across to the United States, and of course we did not get a good deal.
No.
I mean, is that someone in that situation, just so I know, to talk to other people, would you be able to help them?
Yeah, that's it's not actually international progress in the centre property, but that's where it's a personal finance, and we would do that with no charges whatsoever. They would have lost so much money going for the bank. You would have lost that, as you know.
We did. I know we did, and it frustrated me at the time.
Yeah, and also the bank are not like, I would not get a plumber in to do my electrical work. Banks are not brokers. They do mortgages and loans, and they're not an FX broker. They make multi-millions of pounds a year from it, but they don't do it and don't do it well. It's just the likes of people don't realise there's other options for them out there.
Yeah, so a good referral for you then might be a solicitor who was handling that kind of kind of situation.
That's
so they can advise their clients to go to
correct.
You.
Yeah, we have quite a few solicitors at OIBs, and they're called introducing brokers, and they introduce us to people as an arm to their business, where if they're moving money abroad, they say you need to speak to Lesley, then they'll come to us and we talk through. Well, so solicitors and accountants are quite a sweet spot when it comes to clients for us. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Lesley, if I was putting aside money to go on holiday, is that too small a sort of amount of money for you folks to deal with, or is it something that I should consider?
Anything under £1,000 is not worth. Under £1,000 is not worth coming to me for, if that makes sense. And the bigger your volumes, the more I can get for your money. An obvious thing. Yep. But holiday funds, you probably best to go to a travel agent type person more. But personal funds, anything over £1,000, I can help you with. Anything under, it would cost me probably to do it.
No, I sort of thought that was the case. A more serious question. You mentioned in your presentation about money laundering. I keep sort of seeing things about money laundering checks and whatever when people set up bank accounts and all that sort of thing. And yet it seems to be that you hear everywhere that the UK is one of the world's centres for money laundering. How come there's so many tight checks for money laundering, but the place is riddled with it? How does that work?
I don't know the answer to that, Graham, to be fair. There's probably just a few more cowboys in our country, aren't there, really? But we're really tight on compliance, and there's a really strict, when people, would take the online boarding, takes you about 5 minutes to fill in the form. Then there comes back from compliance, Dan can back me up actually on this one, because Dan's opened an account. They then come back with a string of questions and photographic evidence of this, who you are, where you live, and they sort of dot the I's and cross the T's on our behalf. So I know I'm not involved in any illegal stuff, because it just wouldn't be worth my risk. I don't know why we are so good at it. I suppose in a weird sort of way, we're good at that criminal side of things.
It's a really good, clean process. I mean, we've done one transaction now with Fortuna, and to be brutally honest, it wasn't even about the money saved or the money gained or anything like that. I mean, it was we earned about an extra 35 quid on the transaction at this stage, and we'll probably earn another bit on the biggest part of the transaction at the end of the month, which is awesome. I mean, do that 10 times in a year and it pays for me holiday. But fundamentally, the big thing for me was dealing in English, dealing with someone at the other end of the phone that understood exactly what I was trying to achieve. Because every time I've done European transfer previously, I've had to deal with a European at the other end, and there's always a slight language barrier or something like that. And this transaction just went so smoothly. The money was received by them, and I got an email to say the money was in, and then I got an email to say the money had gone, and then I got my order confirmation came through from my supplier without me actually having to have the conversation, which probably in turn saved me half a day as well, and a load of administration. And last time I did a European transfer through the bank, I had to go to town to do it. So I had to then go and park my car and actually physically go in and sign a bit of paper to say, this is what I want to do. So it's more than the financial gain in terms of what Lesley can do. Because yes, you can go to a bank and you can send money. And if it is, like you say, a small amount of money, we're talking pounds that you save as opposed to hundreds. But actually, if you look at the cost of the actual process, I've found that I've probably saved half a day. And I mean, I don't get out of bed for less than £200 a day, so it's 100 quid there straight away. And I've got to do that transaction again at the end of the month when the product's available. So I save a day straight away, plus I get a little bit of bunts on top of it, and I don't have to do any of the paperwork. It's a win.
And it's cost you nothing. That process has cost you nothing to do either, as in physical, where you go to the bank.
It cost me a few hours on the phone with you, because we keep talking about everything else other than work.
I know, we do talk a lot on the phone, but yeah, it's just it's our point. We had to understand what Dan's profit margins needed to be, where his budget was, and we then put a plan together on what we needed to. We kept the euros at what we know we didn't need. We couldn't go below 105, and we actually got him 108 in effect. So that's how we talked, and we talked about budget and margins, and that's how we worked out what we knew where his stop was, that we didn't go below on the euros.
And it worked really well.
How big is your team, Lesley?
So it's Emma and I are the key players, and then we have individual female brokers that have their own books, in effect. So I don't employ anybody. I don't want the headache of employing somebody. I want some people that work with us that are driven and want to work themselves. So they actually are all self-employed.
Yeah.
Come on, boys, you must have more than this. Well, Mark, you're on mute.
Mark, you're on mute.
I don't know how that's happening. I'm not touching it, but fair enough. Me and Lesley obviously had a chat one-to-one, so I've got sort of all my questions answered there, I suppose. But Graham, coming in on the back of what you said about the anti-money laundering, the know your customer and client, etc., I assume, Lesley, as you say, you pass that off to your compliance team and they go through that process, don't they? So
yeah.
if they have any questions at all when they look into the history of the people and the company, etc., that they should deal that directly with them to answer any questions.
Yeah.
But from my own, obviously, history, etc., do you have to ask and check where that money's coming from? Do you have to do that check yourself? Because that's something in my world that I used to have to do, watch my clients, know where their money's coming from.
Now, we validate more where the money's going to. So the beneficiary bank account, we check and validate the end bank.
Yeah.
And that's where the validation comes in. So we actually ask for the beneficiary bank details and compliance check, and the client gets a phone call to verify the bank account after we've done our checks as well. So that we do the other end where the money's landing. We check. Yeah, not where it's coming from as such.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have like our back office. So, like I say, we're classed as a white label, so we haven't got a huge amount of turnover to have our own liquidity lines. So we're then classed as a white label with a back office that are liquidity providers and compliance that work on our behalf when clients come on board. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well, it looks like anything that smacks of transfer of money across borders, talk to Lesley.